Hello and welcome back to another episode of Global Desi Women. I'm your host, Arti Solanki, a real estate broker at Livin Large Realty, business coach for women entrepreneurs, and an author of a Hindu rituals. Today, we are going to talk about changing careers, how to adjust and overcome challenges as women. Career transition can be both exciting and overwhelming, and women often face unique obstacles in this process. Joining me for the second time, it's incredible Deepika Gorji, a PhD in chemistry, product manager in IT, TEDx speaker, and an author in making. Deepika has successfully navigated career shifts, and today she'll share her insights on adapting a change, and so how to overcome hurdles and thriving in new professional journey. So let's get started. Grab your cup of chai and for an inspiration conversation filled with real experiences, actionable advice, and motivation for anyone considering a career change. Deepika, welcome back. It's so glad to have you again and truly appreciate your time and insights.
Hey Arti, thank you. Thank you so much. And it's lovely to see you back. I know we were back and forth of like what to do and to do. This again is a topic, it's like homegrown. I did that piece in my life, so why not talk about it and like maybe give an insight to others as well. So, yep, let's hop into this journey and let's begin.
Absolutely, absolutely. And well said, absolutely. It's true that, our own experiences, we do not realize sometimes that can be an inspiration to somebody else. And it could, no matter what challenges they might be going through, but maybe what we are talking about can affect their lives and can make that they are able to make that change and move forward. So, it's going to be a very delightful and a very good topic today. My first question to you would be, share us a little bit about your own career transition. And I know that you are from chemistry, you are a PhD in chemistry, and now you're in IT. What led you to that shift?
Good question, Arti, and I'm glad we are beginning with that because I want to give the context of this change. So I did PhD in chemistry, of course, in India, and then I moved to Canada just as I finished it. And in Canada, in Calgary, Alberta, we were there for like almost a decade, close to a decade, and as we were settling down in North America, first thing first is like whatever is your major, you just go ahead and try to find a job. And luckily, unluckily, stars were on my side, and right away, within few months, I landed there. I found a job in the lab, a chemistry lab, and that was the arena. Before that, I had tried in University of Calgary to see if I can do some DM or some doctorate, a post PhD research. And I would say it was pretty hard. One, to get into the system of education there. Two, it was too daunting to actually dig through and find that beginning, because for me it was like a start there. And if you ask me after a PhD, you are like so saturated with the subject. I mean, it's just hard to say saturated, but a kind of. And then to find that balance and go back, it was pretty hard. So I tried for a few months. I started helping one of the professor in University of Calgary. But in just few months, I realized that, hey, you know what, this won't work. This is not my cup of tea now. Because one, if I need to get into this college route and professor route, I think I have to do some more study here, not just the research, and which was not in my aim. So I dropped that idea and I started looking for jobs. And it's such a funny story how I found my first job. When you go as an immigrant in Canada, there are some classes by the government and you can just avail that. That usually is for giving you an English proficiency, or like a what do you call it, crash course in English, and which was not needed for me. But I still joined with one of my friend. I'm like, you know what, it will be a good start of the day. We'll just hop in a bus and go and at least see some people. So we joined
Right.
that 2 weeks program, and at the last day of that program, they asked us to get one of the job interview for us, like find it on the
Mm.
website. And it was not very internet time. I'm talking about 2002, 2001, right?
Right.
So we rushed there. So downstairs was one kind of an agency for the jobs or something. So me and my friend, we both went there, and there was an ad for a chemist in a lab. And it was just my luck. I was not looking for that. I was just thinking to get like one secretary or some, like, management kind of a role, just like to give that interview, right?
Right.
Gave that in that piece, and somebody interviewed me for that job description. And then I come home and I'm like, you know what, why don't I try this lab? I was shaking inside. I'm like, isn't it funny, it's just not even 2 months, 3 months, and I'm trying this job. So I applied there. That was a Friday, and Monday I was sitting giving a real interview.
Wow, fantastic. That is a good luck. That is a good luck.
I know, right? Yeah, so a few years, actually 10 years, I worked in my chemistry field. Okay. And then in the lab, they implemented SAP. Okay.
Mm,
Like one of those big IT tool.
right.
So I was the main contact in the lab for that SAP, and they were implementing that. And I was seeing how automation, beginning of automation, it was not robotics or anything at that time, but still automatic reporting, automatic time counting, automatic sampling, automatic everything. I was like, oops, this is good, I need to learn. Like, I have that zeal in me, like if I see
Right.
something good which clicks me, I have
Right.
to get it. So I started learning that online, and then with the evening classes, and I learned SAP as CRM and SD, the customer
Mm,
relation management and sales. So I learned that, and it's a language, it's a computer, it's a IT language, it's a
program, I guess.
software where of course a lot of engineering is needed, but I can skip that. And since I had that few gray cells in my brain, I guess I could comply that. And
Mm,
then I started looking for, like, okay, how about changing the jobs? That's how it
yeah.
all happened. Yes.
Yeah. And that's
What a
and
good question.
yeah, no, that's fantastic. And that kind of like, that shows like, from even from the self-doubt how you overcame the challenges, and then you saw the strength within and seeking, like, okay, this is you went for just a tryout in that company for an application, but you got an interview. So
Yes.
sometimes just overcoming those self-doubts can lead you to such a good path that it's amazing. It's that just one step, and then it takes you, it just leads you. So take a leap. And that's what it is in your journey. It clearly shows that.
Yes, and the other thing is, see, I was not the one changing my career because I didn't find a job in my career and I'm doing.
No.
So it was like, okay, one of those things. Oh, okay, if I do it. So there was no pressure within. So I
Right.
do want to bring that up because sometimes, see, career changes are not by choice.
No.
And that makes a big difference. Okay, so for me, it was like, okay, I want to learn it, I want to see. And I had like such a heavy background on chemistry, it was hard to say goodbye. Okay, and I didn't even know if I was saying goodbye, to be very frank. I
Yeah.
was thinking.
Did you feel like the resistance from
I
like
did.
peers, family, or colleagues with that?
See, my husband is like experimental kind. So for him, he's like, go for it. Like, he was the one pushing, actually. And there is another factor to that, Arti. We need to bring that in. I was a new mom at that time.
Mm,
1 year old baby, not even 1 year, few months old baby, 1 year old baby. And then the mom's duty, wife's duty, new country, challenging path, both of us was
yeah.
was kind of like too much on our plate. My husband
Yeah.
had like a very challenging job. He's a chemical engineer, recently settled, right, for both of us.
Mm,
And for me, see, I worked in lab. The samples I was testing were of petroleum samples.
mm,
And so those samples are like emergency samples, meaning the BTEX in there, benzene, toluene, ethyl, and xylene, those four factors, components which we test, they die within few hours. So have you any, I hope you don't have, but if you have any experience of emergency ward in the hospital, my lab and my room was like that. Those samples come in, we tag a time on that from the field the sample came at this time, and it has just 9 hours to do the testing, otherwise the sample dies. And if the sample dies, companies pay a hefty amount to dig it back and bring it. And then to make that soil sample or a water sample, really a sample to test was a tedious process, like a money oriented process. So
Mm.
everything was so interesting, so challenging. I loved it to the T of it. But the fact that I had to go to the lab at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m., start the lab, start the samples, load them, get the results, put them on the computer so that the customer at 7 a.m. has the report in the morning. I worked odd times. I took that job intentionally so that I can be home when my husband is not home, and my husband can be home when I'm not home so we can take care of the daughter.
Yeah.
So that worked for a few years, but it took my toll. So
Yeah.
that was one of the reason behind the whole shift, the need of it, the hour was calling for it.
Yeah. And that is the thing, right? Because we as a women always, I guess it's not just women, also men, we all have our personal responsibilities, as such as with the family, the financial stability, and not everybody has that, the leisure of like, okay, I don't like this job and I'm going to go change another one. And sometimes they just have to stay put, whether they like it or not like it, because there's also that fear in the back of their mind that if I lose this job, the money is coming in, and how am I going to support the family, or how am I going to make these career changes where there's going to be a lot of adjustments and like time wise and in every situation, in every way,
Yes, yes.
so it is one of those things that you definitely have to think it through before making those changes. But again, I would say it's not, I'm not trying to say that you have to stay stuck with a job that you hate forever, but there are things around as a woman we also look at, and sometimes we kind of like adjust to it, although we don't like it, and then it takes us a long time before we break through, and we're like, okay, now I'm really done, and I'm gonna go take a job that I really like. So
Yes.
it's kind of like a balancing your life, I guess, one way or the other. You're trying to accommodate both the things, right? So either what is the priority right now? That's what
Yes,
we ask
that, and
ourselves.
then also at that point, I would say, if I'm stuck at the point where I left, I was just gathering and making my bag heavy. I was trying to get all the tools in. I was not sure what time I will make that leap, what time
Yeah.
is right time. I did not
Right.
know. The only thing I knew was, okay, why not do it if I have time? Because I
Yeah.
worked Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, sometimes Monday. So I had like Tuesday, Wednesday, most of the Mondays. So those 3 days I would just, give it to the classes, learn it, and so moved on. And it was not an easy transition still. Whenever you
Yeah.
do, this is always hard. The only plus I had was I had a full support of my husband, and it was his wish as well. He's like, if you can settle into something like that, it will be easier for family.
Yeah.
So we had that tie, that kind of like an understanding. But yeah,
Mm.
you're right. It's just that timing, when will it come, is not on
Yeah.
our hands. There are a lot
Yeah.
of factors working together for that.
Absolutely. So, looking back, say you had to do this all over again. What few steps like you would have taken, or you can tell someone that they should take in order to, when planning for a career transition, right? If you had, or if anybody, just for example, want to make those changes, but what are the plannings you would do if you have to change it now? What would you do? Like, what are the steps you would take?
See, Arti, that question is very like
Very wide and
it's
open.
a wide open, but the point here is the times have changed. I'm
Yeah.
talking 2000,
Yeah.
25 years back. That time, everybody had one career, one major, and barely anybody changed their careers, unless like you just become like a business person or entrepreneur. That's a different story. That's always the case. Career changes was very, very rare. Now talk about nowadays, all the kids, they are always planning plan A, plan B. You
Hmm.
can see doing two majors. We never
Yeah.
had that option. Like,
Yeah.
I did my bachelor's in two in biology as well as in chemistry, and I was the only one in my entire college. Nobody else did it, because I was like, what if I don't get masters in chemistry? I'll have at least a backup. I'll do in biology. What if I start looking into like maybe going to the medical field if I like it? At that time, there were no medical fees like biotech or whatever you are hearing these days. I would have been in a very different shape if it was there in 1980s, okay?
Yeah.
So now to answer your question, see, I gave the TEDx, and the TEDx talk topic, the title I gave was Survive, Learn, and Move On. And that formula works everywhere.
Yeah.
So if you are stuck somewhere, first thing is you have to survive wherever you are. Then you have to learn something. Find out your what do you call it? Your strengths. Don't get into like a field where you know you'll fail or which you don't like. Now this is the second chance. You're getting to a plan B. So your plan B should be as competent as plan A and how much you like it and love it. And then move on slowly. These three things as a formula, that's the only way to move. But then first thing first is to survive in your job and learn something. Then just experience it, see when is the best time, good time, leap on and move on.
Yeah.
Because
And
there
I'm
is
I'm
no
gonna say one thing. I'm sorry I'm gonna interrupt, but I'm gonna let my audience know that we're gonna put the link of your TEDx, and so that anybody
it
interested
would
in
be great.
listening to that, they can listen to that in our description, because it'll be really inspiring to hear that, and it's awesome. So definitely all our audience, our listeners, please go ahead and listen to that TEDx for
Thank you.
sure.
That your help. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. It's going to be 1 year. It was last year in May, so it's been like
Yeah.
10, 11 months. But it's still fresh in my mind. I know, monkeys were dancing in my stomach. That time was something else. Yep. But yeah, coming back to your point, okay, my challenge was family life and kids and to how to prioritize and not let my education and my dream of working. I could not even believe that I would be sitting at home, and not that's not like that's just me. It's my personal things. Few women who stay home, hats off to them because homemaker is the toughest job in the world, and we
Absolutely.
skip it via jobs. That's how I tell them. We skip it via the label of like we have the job and we are
Yeah.
doing this. We take shortcuts. We leave the mess. We don't look at the kitchen. We are like, okay, we eat out. We do a lot of adjustments, okay? But
Right.
hats off to those homemakers who really are like, the best job in the world and the toughest one. So it comes back to like your priorities. You have to set your goals, plan A, plan B, where are you heading from there? And there will be failures.
Oh, yes,
So
absolutely.
embrace the failures because you cannot see the
No.
top of the mountain unless you climb.
Yeah. And only from those failures you learn. And that's how you grow. And that's the best way to grow, actually, because when you fall, you get up, you get even higher up. So
That's true.
that's the way to grow.
Yeah.
And again, coming to, like you were saying, the homemakers, even those women after a while, for me, I was a homemaker until my kids were of certain age. And then my husband and I, we started our IT company. So I had a break for almost, I would say, until my kids were 7, 8 years old. And then we started the business. And so then I started working again. So it was a big shift. And I would say to the women who are thinking about from being a homemaker, trying to get a job or even start a company or be in self-employed, whatever you're trying to do, turn your hobby into a craft and sell it on Etsy, whatever you're trying to do, it is absolutely doable. It is a little bit of an adjustment. It's actually a lot of adjustments
Yeah, I
because
was about to say that. It's not a little bit.
it's a lot of adjustments in the beginning, but it's definitely doable. For me, it was after a long time, I was getting back into that work mode. And I was still working from home and I was still managing the home, looking after the kids, picking them up, dropping them off. I was still doing everything that I was doing previously. But added to that, I was working. And so it was a lot of a lot of adjustments, and working with your husband is the biggest adjustment of all, because it's like, come on, if anybody's working with their partners, they know what it takes. So the
Yeah.
first 2 years were like, trying to figure out who's responsible for what before we start blaming each other. So it was yeah, it was that. But once we got nailed down to our responsibilities, we were pretty set after that. And it was a good ride after that. But initially, yeah, definitely you have to work around, you have to sketch it out, you have to make your plans. And I would say to any woman who wants to do this, whether get a job or a business, don't be afraid.
Yes.
There
There's
will be
yeah.
time.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you here, but
No, no.
there are a couple of scenarios here. One, if you are going out to earn because it's a financial need, it's a
Yeah.
very different
Oh,
than somebody just trying to get out and get experience, make their own life.
mhm.
See, money is good anyways, okay? So it's not like I have enough, but I'm working. That's not the case for most of them, for
Right.
most of us. But there are a few scenarios where you're like just stepping out because you want to now build your career to start. And maybe you have like not invested first 15 years of your, after the marriage or your education. It's very tough out there because even with the experienced people, it's so tough. So if I carry forward my story, I once I did the course and started applying for the jobs, it was pretty tough because all those guys who were ready and competing with me were actually engineers or some kind of technical education. On top of it, they knew SAP CRM, they knew few other languages and IT background. So I was facing the toughest crowd out there, and I was like, there's no chance. Why will they get me who's like just not experienced? But I had the confidence. I nailed the interviews and I proved. I told them upfront, no, I don't have any experience, but I can do that. So if you forward that story, we came to US after that, and I worked in the lab for like couple of years, not even couple of years, like a year and a half. And while that, I started looking, and I found job in Bungie Corporation in St. Louis. See, geography could not be a constraint. You can't say I want to work only in Sugarland and Pearland. Sorry, that won't work.
No.
Your first job, it's a new try. You are the lowermost choice of a employer.
Yeah.
So to come to the top, you need to be in a wider pool of
Mhm.
selection. That means so I opened the entire US and Canada and I found it in St. Louis, Bungie Corporation. I went there first day. I know I was like, okay, where's the exit door? Because they're going to throw me out in like 30 minutes. And it was not easy. My confidence was shaken up because it was like new place. I left my family and I'm like, I'm going to work Monday to Friday there. I traveled. Believe it or not. Again, it was
Wow.
a very big support of my husband. And I had two babies now. I had Krish, who was a year old, and I had Ria, who was like 4.5 or 5 year old, and I started traveling, believe it or not. So I had like a full a big thank you to him to let me
Yeah.
do that. And I failed there because they are like, okay, code this. Oh, code this, I don't know. But you are in a team, and it depends what team you get, how you talk to them, how you
Yeah.
approach to them. You need to it takes a village, but
Yeah.
you have to be in that village with them. You can't say I'm outsider. So it
No.
takes a village. So it took like a bigger village for a lot of people to make me understand and make me realize, hey, this is it, this is how we do it. So on job training, I give thanks to so many of my colleagues, my co-workers, and of course online. Google was not that strong, but still it was there. So
Right.
a lot of things you have to learn on the go. You did the course is one piece. There's nothing in the books which I need to do there now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I remember, Arti, we made a page for them, like a UI page, and a form for them for UI, from UI. And that page had all the customers, Bungie corporate customers, internal customers can actually log in and check their credits. So we
Right.
had finance and CRM all together to do that.
Mm.
I was so happy to see that page. I
Yeah.
think my contribution was 1% in there, but I was like, I can do it. I
Yeah.
know how it works from all of that things plug in together.
Yeah.
So it's tough. And you
Yeah.
fail, you get yelled from your seniors, your managers, VP, you are
Yeah.
not able to speak in the meetings because I don't know if it's true or not. It's better I zip up. I say, oh, I don't know. I need time to find out. That was my biggest answer, I guess.
Yeah.
But time passed, and I came from one step to two, three, and four to I know it.
But it is with any careers, right? It's, that what you learn in your courses or in your certifications and everything, then implying that in the real life is so much different. So even for us as a realtors, right? So what we learn and we give our exams and we pass is so much different in the real life that when we're trying to write a contract, it takes literally, like, I still remember the first contract I had written. And just like you said, I was shaking because I was like, oh my God, how do you write this? Because we learned it, but
Yeah,
in actual to do that in real life, it's a scary situation. So, but just like you, I was so lucky to have the team, and they were helpful,
yeah,
and they showed me what to do. And I can tell this one person was like, okay, just read the contract, read what it says, and you'll understand. And I was like reading, and I'm like, okay, do I really write? It's the first thing. And then it is so much nervousness. I think it's more than knowing about thing. It's the nervousness that gets you because you were like so freaking out that am I doing the right
And the
thing?
other, I think, and the other problems which most of us have is the perfection.
Yeah.
Because there can be mistakes in there, but if somebody else points out, you're like, "Oh, I'm going to die today." What?
Yeah.
How I didn't find, that feeling keeps the things more complicated.
Absolutely.
So, but yeah, this is what it is. It's just that first time has to come and it has to go, and you
Yeah,
have
yeah.
to learn from it.
And with all this, along with everything that we're trying to do in that position, also have to maintain you have to balance your emotions with it, because you don't want to go to a job and feel completely stressed and you're emotional
Yeah.
imbalance and like you don't know. So you have to pull up, pull yourself together and have that courage of like, okay, now I took this job. I know I've learned this. I have to just imply it or ask questions around and figure it out, and just grow together. And that's the strength, I guess. That's the mindset that you have to be in order to move forward.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And then you did ask me, right? The peer pressure, the mental
yeah.
pressure, I would say that, okay, you did PhD in chemistry, now you're moving to a new field. But, after a while, once you do that higher education, I think you do feel that, okay, this is one set of rules, and
Mm.
you get sharpened. Like every education you take, you get sharpened,
Oh,
like
yeah.
MBA, like master's business administration. I think that's one of the course most of the people do after
Right.
whatever bachelor's or undergrads they have,
Mm.
because that has a very different curriculum and it sharpens you to a different level. I think PhD in particular, one subject is, of course, you get to know a lot of chemistry, but you get to know a lot of other stuff too.
Right.
So it was hard. And I do want to mention one of my uncle, my dad's brother. He's also PhD in chemistry. He retired as a professor and then principal of a college. And he was so proud of me all through. He's like, "Oh, I'm glad somebody's in the chemistry field." It was so hard for
Taking
me to
his
even
footsteps.
say something to him. And even now he rolls his eyes. He's retired and still he writes books on chemistry. He's like, "You don't even look at this." I'm like, "No, I can still read them." I do know, and I do remember that there were times when I was like thinking, am I really doing it right? It self doubts you.
Yeah.
But I'm happy. I have two worlds apart, but I still can marry them someday. I don't know. I love it the way it is.
That's great. That's so good. So, what advice would you like to give to women who are juggling, family responsibilities, who are trying to upskill or switch their careers, just like, you did? So, what advice would you like to give?
See, Arti, in this time and place now in the world, lots have changed. Okay, now let me give you another example of my own. Right now, I have my parents' responsibility. They both are sick, as we talked about in the last
Hmm.
podcast. They both are sick with dementia and moving towards Alzheimer's, and every 3 to 4 months, me and my brother, we have to rush to them. I knew this situation is coming, or it already came by the time I realized it. I started looking for the jobs which are remote jobs. Okay, I'm PhD in chemistry, and now I have more than 10 years of experience, or maybe 14, 13 years of experience in IT. I can ask now. It's hard to find, but it's there. After COVID, God bless, that's the only good thing, one good thing COVID has done, that we have realized that we can
We
work.
can work remote.
We can work minus office. So, and especially in IT, because I have my team in China, India, UK, and USA. They told us, like, come to the office. I'm like, okay, come to the office and meet who? Because not even a single person is in Houston. So what do I do in the office? Open laptop and see you guys? Or better I see from the home, right?
Yeah.
So that kind of a thing. So when I started looking for the job in 2020, 22, I knew my mom dad's situation is coming, or maybe 2020. I wanted a remote job, and
Mm.
that was a big adjustment to me myself, as a because I'm such a huge outward person. I need to see people, I need to make groups there. I love going work lunch, I love going, like, happy hours from the work. How will all that work? So I had to put all that in the side and put my duty up front. Okay, my kids are grown now. They are like, one is going college this year, one is already in college. So I had no home responsibilities but my mom dad stuff. And now if I go India, I work from them. Sometimes only my SVP know that I'm going India and working from there. Rest of the team don't even realize. And that's it. That's fine. I just take 2 days off,
Yeah.
go there and work. If I'm in office, it's a huge deal. Oh, Deepika went 3 weeks again. It's not going to work. It's going to impact my career. So that was the reason I had to take it. So I found it. So, giving this example, my whole point to bring here is you need to sit down and make a chart of, like, what is must to have, what is good to have, and what is okay not to have.
Yeah.
Whatever shift you are doing. And it might take a longer time to get where you are, and it will definitely be a challenge, but you will get through. And you
Yeah.
can upfront tell. So the first job I did with FedEx was the first job I did remote. And I told in the interview itself, I'm like, this is it. And there are multiple reasons for that, but you will not find me goofing around with the time. Whenever you want, I'll be there. And basically, after working remote from like 4 years now, I can tell you we work much more.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm traveling to the office, Deepika, can you release this? Deepika, I'm traveling, I'm stuck in the traffic. Can you take that meeting? Every day,
Yeah.
every day. Then in the evenings, mornings, I don't mind working extra hours and still have my way. When I am gone, it doesn't
Mm.
matter. Things can be taken care of. I'm okay. That balance you have to find. So
Yeah.
it is hard, but you need to be very clear on, just don't jump on something. See, first job, maybe it will be very tough and you don't have too many choices you can answer and you can.
Yeah.
But once you get a little hang of it, that is the time you need to move on and change. And at that time, you need to see, okay, this will be my second job now. I have a little bit of experience. Can I see if I can travel for 3 days, adjust home front, but also do this?
Yeah.
Things
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like making the list of your priorities and also what you like to do and what you don't like to do and see accordingly. And then take that step, otherwise, you don't want to be miserable at your work either. So,
Yes. And then the toughest question was why you want to change the field. And you can be honest. I was honest and I did tell them that, hey, as much as I love my field, and I loved what I was doing before, but
yeah.
it was challenging. See, we used to go and take samples also in the lab. So in the
Mm.
cold in Calgary, you go in a lab van, like a mini van, which is like a lab inside, and you take that mobile lab and go to the site and dig and get the samples. Now, the I specifically remember Ron used to work with me in Calgary. He will eat anything which is walking. I won't. He was a tough guy. And then you go in that lab, and sometimes it's late night, sometimes it's like very late hours. You get nothing to eat in those remote areas, but you get to get the samples, test them in the van itself, and pass on the results because some of the testing was very critical. It's very tough for a woman who doesn't eat meat, who has priorities of family. It's very tough.
It is very tough.
So it's like you need to make your boundaries that, okay, how far can you go or
Yeah.
what can you let go?
Yeah. Are you also it kind of shows your strength as well, right? And what is that you're capable of? How much can you push yourself?
Yes. And if I would have stayed in there, it would have been like easy peasy job after like 10 years. But those 10 years, am I ready to invest? What will my
Yeah.
family lose if I'm like upfront there for that 10 years? That was the question that
Yeah.
you need to decide. And so it's very hard to find that balance to get those questions answered. It's not easy.
Yeah.
It's not.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So now switching the topic, let's talk about a little bit about the book that you're writing. I really want to know that.
Sure. So it started with an idea of, okay, let me back up. So in COVID times, there was absolute, no going out, don't do this, don't do that. And I'm a big Toastmaster. I follow Toastmasters. I'm in Toastmasters from 20 years now. So even the Toastmasters meeting became online. So I was like, there's so much online. Job is online. Kids and family, everybody's home. Everybody's doing something online. I was bored as well as I was very overwhelmed. And I was just looking at some stuff, and somehow I got like a Stanford um, writing course, but online. And I
Oh,
had searched that course for 1 year, like couple of years back. I wanted to learn something, how to write, just not
mm,
write. So I'm like, oh, this is good. So I just looked into it, and they had actually squeezed the course for 6 months because, see,
mm,
COVID was not decided, it's 2 year long, right? We lived each day with, like, okay, tomorrow it will be gone, and it was not, right? So they
absolutely.
squeezed that 1 year course into 6 months. It's not even diploma, it's a certificate course.
Mm,
So I checked the eligibility and all that, and I got into it. So I was like, okay, so it was every day, 6 to 8 p.m. in the evening. So I had job in the morning and then that class in the evening. So I did that. It was
right.
creative writing from Stanford.
Mm,
Amazing course because it's just not only they teach you how to write, they throw questions on you. They throw how to, like, what will you write at that point? And I
wow.
was, Arti, I was amazed at what I could write. I'm not
Wow.
kidding. And many times we were like a batch of 25 folks from all over US and Canada. And I think in 6 months I was called out as the best writer with the language being little, what do you call it, not to the mark because, see, English is my second language, right?
Right.
It's not my first language, so my thought process sometimes is different than what they are expecting, what the professor is expecting. So
Right.
she called my writing like 5 or 6 times as the best. And
Wow.
I would definitely mention that there was one time they said there is a big storm or a thunderstorm or a hurricane and you are a tree.
Mm.
You need to write as a tree. Okay? That was the
Oh, wow.
best story. I was awarded for that. If you throw that question, I'm like, really? I wrote so well. And we used to write in the class. So you
Yeah.
don't get that, it's extempo. Okay? Few topics like those, so then I realized I can write, and I used to write like in Hindi and all while I was growing up. So that's how the idea, but it was like thrown back like 30 years and
Yeah.
get it, who can write, I'm not a writer, I had so many other things to do in life and all that. So yes, all that was part of it. And then after that I'm like, I need to write. And the first thing which came to my mind was my own story, because as I said, I lived in 3 countries, 2 continents, completely different: India, Arabs, and then North America, Canada, and USA. There are so big difference of a culture. See, right now
Yeah.
your neighbors could be from Tehran or Baghdad or Paris or anything. Okay,
Anything.
that
Yeah.
was not the case before. You just lived in your community, and there were few folks who flew off to the other countries and other continents. Okay, we were one of those. So when my mom and dad lived in Iraq, I think it was like a rare case, and we
Yeah.
experienced all that. And we just had letters, no phone calls, no mobile, mobile phones were not there, so it was very
No.
different life. And then I moved to North America. I studied in India. I There was a time, one time, when I knew Arabic so fluent. And yeah,
Wow.
so, but it's that time. Even now, some words come so instant. Oh, that means that. And then caboose, the naan of the Arabs, it still brings my childhood memories. Like few people
Wow.
say, oh, our childhood memories is like samosa or something. I'm like, no, mine is caboose. Yeah, so that inspired me, and I'm like, I need to write that. So that's how this whole thing started. I'm pretty much done with writing, but I'm doing my own editing now and then finding all the tools in the box to how to publicize and publish it. That's what where I am. But that's the idea which came. But
Right.
now I don't want to stop there. Again, this is a career change, okay? It's
Yes,
not that I'm going to take
absolutely.
it as a full time, or I don't know what's in store for me in the future. By God's grace, if it really goes well, I can take that.
Yeah,
I want
absolutely.
to do
I
that.
feel like you will. You will definitely
Yes.
flourish in it.
So that's the book about, and it's all about the journey of a girl from India who didn't had any choice but to follow mom and dad when they first moved from India to Arabs, came back to India, did the studies, but then it was by my choice that I moved to North America and I settled here. And now looking back into all that different cultures, countries, my friends, my family, how we grew up, me and my brother both,
Mm,
and how different we are. We are,
yeah.
you know. That's
Yeah.
how I tell him also. I'm like, you and me are different.
Wow. No, I can't wait for the book to come out and definitely keep us posted with it so we can share that information as well with our audiences.
Again, Arti, I do want to bring up here that see, all the tools need to be in the box. I did the
Mm,
course to realize I can write. In
yeah.
in that course, I realized I could. I would have maybe if I would have failed badly, or if I would have gone like, oh, this is not, I can't do it. This was just like a thought. I would have stopped myself. So you need to find that is
Yeah.
it right or not. Sometimes we are so impressed by some of the things we want to acquire it, but maybe that's not your cup of
Not your,
tea. Like,
yeah.
I love art, I love painting and all. I can't even hold the brush. If you tell me do this here, I won't be able to. It's like
Yeah.
that. So I know that is not my cup of tea. But I have another friend of mine in India, and she's like an artist. I just like my jaw drops seeing things she make, but that's not in me. So
Yeah.
you need to find that.
And without, like you said, without exploring things, you wouldn't know. Sometimes you don't know what you are really capable of doing until you explore it or try it out. And then you realize, like you said, that, hey, I am really good at it. So that's what it takes. You need to try out things and figure out what works best for you
Yep,
and
that's
what
what
you're
it
good
is.
at.
And it's a lot of hard work too. See,
Yeah.
writing this book is not easy because I gave to one of my very good friend is a English teacher. I gave my script to her and she rolled her eyes and she's like, you need a lot of work. I'm like, I can see that. So it's not easy. Nothing is easy. It's been few years I'm writing it. I'm still writing it. I'm still correcting it. It's going to
Yeah.
take time. But I know whenever is the right time, it will be a right time. In
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
time, I'm looking at the publication, the how
Yeah.
to do that. There's a lot of homework for that
It
too.
is a lot of work, I
Yeah.
know.
And
I
now
looked
with
into
Chat
that.
GPT and whatnot, there are auto writers, okay? They just,
Mm,
you give a topic, they write for you, and then you put your name and you get published. So
yeah.
I'm
I
competing with.
think they did change a rule in that one, if I'm not mistaken, where you have to mention it that you used AI for
And
writing this
break
book.
somewhere in the book.
Yeah, somewhere like in a small fine print
But
that
still, I'm
it's,
competing with them, right? Like,
yeah.
we are competing with them. So,
Yeah, 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 absolutely. You are. But I think there was a rule that, and I think if I'm not mistaken, I've heard that even Amazon would not even
yeah.
let you write an AI book,
Yeah,
publish
first
it.
thing Amazon asks is it your manuscript? And
Yeah,
you
it
hold
won't let you.
responsible. Yeah, it won't let
Yeah,
you. Yeah.
because mine is on the Amazon, and so
Oh,
I
wow.
was like, I, for me, the book was a complete different reason and purpose. It was in the memory of my mom.
Oh,
And
wow.
so um, it was dedicated to her. It was not something I, I was trying to make money off of it, or I was trying to be famous off of it, or nothing like that. It was just that I wanted to write a book and dedicate it to her, because that was something that the rituals she used to do. We grew up seeing her all our lives. So that was something, a way for me to remember her forever.
Wow, what is it called? I'll definitely give it a try.
It's Hindu rituals. It's about, yeah, it's about our, the pujas, the Satyanarayan puja, how to do it, the whole list of like the ingredients to how to perform the puja and everything from A to Z. So if anybody wants to do it at home without a priest, they can still do it. So it's
That's it.
got a little small story in it and a little tidbits to share. So uh, I mean, it took me a long time to do that. It took me almost a year and a half to get it done.
It's tough. It's tough. It's very time consuming, and you need to be 100%. And see, for job, you open it and you are in it. You may
Yeah,
be sad, you may be very happy, you might be mad, you're in there.
yeah,
Writing, you need a certain alignment, and that's the toughest part. Sometimes it's 11:30 p.m. when I'm like,
mhm,
okay, I need to write now, because that's the only time when I'm not bugged by my thoughts or somebody else.
yeah, yeah.
So it's that's the toughest part on anything with the art and creativity.
And you need to be in your zone to like really think it through. I mean, even just adjusting the pages, like which goes where and where should I put this first or should I put this first? And that was, and I wrote on a ritual. It's not even a story, so it was.
Mm.
It shouldn't be that hard, but it was hard for me.
Yeah, everything. Yeah, see, nothing is easy. Okay,
No,
so
absolutely.
that's true.
But what an insightful conversation. I'm so glad, Deepika, and thank you for coming and sharing your journey and valuable, advice on the career transitions. We really appreciate you coming back, and your story truly inspires and a great reminder that the change while changing can open the doors to new opportunities and growth. For all the women out there who's considering career change, remember, it's never too late to reinvent yourself, and don't give up when the things get hard. Don't give up. It's gonna work. You just have to try, look for what works for you the best, and just go for it. With the right mindset, strategies, and support system, you can successfully navigate this transition. All our listeners, if you've enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, leave a review, share it with your friends and family who needs some encouragement, and don't forget to follow Global Desi Women for another inspiring conversations. Every week we bring another guest and uplift women in every stage of their life. Until next time, keep striving, keep growing, keep believing in yourself, and be kind to yourself and to others. Thank you.
Thank you, Arti.